When God wants to touch you, He will squeeze you so tight. The being spoiled, you learn to appreciate everything you receive. You were used to reaching in the house.
akanyama mama wakakabika ngo nakumwana wanje kandi afite abandi umunani hari nawe waruzi ko ari wewe mwana ndumenye ko abandi ari abana.
We grew up, especially us who grew up eating meat once in a while. We were used to our mother keeping meat for us and saying, "This is for my child," as if your other siblings are not children. Do I offend you when I talk about these things? Please don't be offended. I know some of you were never raised in the structure of a family with a father and mother. I'm just testifying, and I hope I don't offend you in that context. You would get in the house, and your mother would say, "My child," and there are other 5 children. Last bonds, yeah? Those who have last bonds, you spoil your last bonds. When you reach the order where God commands you to give, He will take you through situations. When I went to Nairobi, my father took me. I had left Kisangani. I went to the mountains of Bijombo. My father came with me. We went to Uvira, Bukavu together. He gave me money and said, "My son, go with Jesus." I was going to Nairobi. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know where I was going. I was always on the receiving end. No one is going to give me. I needed the fruits of the Spirit. When I reached in Nairobi, I kept my money. I was waiting to tell my brother who was in the US, my cousin brother who was in the US, to help me join him there. Because that was the plan. I thought I would spend 4 to 5 months in Nairobi, then go to the US. And by the grace of God, I met a missionary from Kisangani. I knew him. There were problems in Congo, and he came in Nairobi. So I went to his house.
School of Theology.
They lived in the School of Theology compound of Assemblies of God in Buruburu. I went. So we sat and talked. And I told him I want to go to the US. He said, "There is no problem, get an invitation. We'll go to the ambassador, he's my friend, and I'll help you. You'll go to the US. Remember, last born being spoiled. I told my cousin in the US, send an invitation. And he disconnected his landline. At the time in Kenya, there was an operator. You would go to the post office. I don't know if we have people who know what I'm talking about. You would go to the post office. They would call the other person and tell them someone wants to talk to them. When they accept, they would call you back. But the money to call, they would be the one to pay. This brother disconnected his landline. I would write, no response. Eventually, I saw someone going to the US. I knew this person. I told them. They also knew my cousin. because they had studied together. I told them, my friend, please write to my brother, tell them to send me an invitation. They took my letter, went and spent the night at my cousin's, gave the letter. As he told me, read the letter, and he put it aside, kept quiet. When it was time for this other person to return, he asked for a letter to bring me back, to bring back to me. He said, no, I will write to them.
And
at this point, money is being used and it's getting less and less, like the setting of the sun in the evening. And I said, now I have less money and I don't want to spend it. For me, eating wasn't a problem because I was used to fasting long periods of time. The only issue I had, rent, where I was staying in Kenya. And I was in a very small hostel. I went to the hostel, took the money I had left, cut it, divided into two, and said, I'm paying you, I'm going to pay you almost 3 months so that I don't spend it. By the way, I didn't even buy anything. I would go to conferences, crusades. When people would preach, I would give a lot of my money in offerings. I would give money to preachers in Nairobi, and I realized I was losing money. After paying the hostel, the young lady I gave the money to, she was called Faith. She received the money. Next to me, there was a young person who was from Kisumu, who had come to play football. And this person was waiting for me to finish paying so that they would pay as well. He was a young man in my age, but he was a football player. He saw me pay a lot of money, and I kept some, almost a half of it. I kept it in the Bible. The young man also came and paid. They gave me a receipt. I went. I opened the door to my room. He did the same to his room. And I told him, oh, we are going to the same place. We greeted each other. I entered, he entered. So I left. I went to pray for people who were sick at Aga Khan. And I was in a hostel in a place called Westland. There is a place called Ngara nearby. There was Kenya Power Electricity House just nearby. And as you go, you cannot forget a place you died and rose again. So I remember this part of Nairobi. And nearby there was a hotel called Panasonic Hotel. I would go to pray for sick people in the hospital. In the evening I went. I prayed for people. Aga Khan is a very big hospital. I prayed and prayed for people. Then I came back. When I got to the hotel, as I was about to enter, they told me, no, you will not enter. I said, what? They said, you haven't paid. I thought it was a joke. I said, I have paid. They said, no, you didn't pay. Now the person who stopped me from entering was a security officer. I said, I paid. Ask Faith.
Okay. I
said, Faith, didn't I pay yesterday? Faith said, no, You know, when God is straightening you up, He will
igomba
not be merciful.
kukuvomamo ibintu byinshi kugira ngo igusukemo imbuto zayo kuko ntizimeranjwa.
He has to squeeze everything out so that He will give you the fruit of the Spirit, because the two can't be mixed.